Hello everybody, I'm your host Wheel Trouble. Let's go ahead and start this off right by having you hit like, subscribe, and share this with all your friends. I want to be honest with today's episode and talk about the social stigma around motorcycling and that stigma that riders have. I'm not sure if that makes this a reality check or an entry problem, but since it's keeping people out of our sport, I'm going to go ahead and toss this into entry problems. So let's take some time with this video and talk about all of the things about us that people hate, and what gave them those warped ideas in the first place. The first image I want to knock down is the portrayal of motorcycles in Hollywood. About the only person to have ever really captured the correct image of motorcycling on the big screen was Dana Brown, with his On Any Sunday the Next Chapter. If you haven't seen that movie, I highly recommend it. It's an absolutely wonderful documentary of motorcycle riding. Everybody else paints us as the rebel without a clue. To Hollyweird, we're loud, we're boisterous, we're constantly drunk, and we break everything for the sheer joy of destruction. In short, we're the Klingons from The Next Generation or Deep Space Nine. Don't get me wrong, I've been to a few somewhat wild motorcycle parties, but I've still never been to a ride where people were just getting drunk for the sake of getting drunk. I think this is attributed to Harley-Davidson's well-honed image in conjunction with all of the people who got into riding as a midlife crisis and decided what they wanted to be was the pavement-locked version of Han Solo. Or the Fonz. Everyone wants to be the Fonz. You'll be able to find the guys who didn't buy into the Harley said I must look like this and basically lived with their bikes. The lifers tend to be more practical and more friendly in their dress and mannerisms. And yes, quite a few of them are on Harleys too, but when they bought theirs, it wasn't because of any midlife crisis. It was because it was the right bike for what they wanted to do, and that's the one thing that Harley has done. If I were to go on a long vacation in a straight line, a Harley would be on my top list of bikes. If I didn't have to pay for it, of course. Those damn things are expensive. I just like picking on Harley because they've done absolutely nothing to dissuade the bad look that they've gotten. Here's the reality for those of you riders who are worried about becoming one of those. Don't panic. While there are some people who view the Cruiser as a pointless boat anchor, it's not about what they think. I've been a sport biker, and I can honestly say the worst days of my life were those when I was stuck in the fetal tuck position for 600 miles. I would have killed to be on one of those Cruisers at that point. Nobody forces you to dress head to toe in dead cow. Sure, the chaps are functional, but so are a good pair of jeans, and the jeans just look better. The chaps went out back when we stopped carrying 6-shooters on our hips. Another Hollywood stereotype that sadly does have a little bit of foundation in reality is the squid missile. This is the kid in a t-shirt and shorts, sunglasses, and a Gixxer or a Hayabusa. I spend a lot of time at a local soda shop that doubles as a biker hangout, and even when I was on a sport bike, I so tried to avoid these guys. I don't know how to say it other than the fact that these guys just have a way of sucking all of the fun out of riding. This is the guy who will trash talk you for not being on a fast enough bike or not wearing the right gear in the first place. Lots of talk about being man enough, and their underdressed pillion candy is equally as annoying. The odd thing is how quickly these riders burn themselves out. I know this channel is about helping the sport grow, so I'm not going to go trashing on them too much, but the good thing is these sorts of people leave the sport on their own. Just avoid them and they'll go away through natural attrition. That, or they'll grow up. That pretty much covers the Hollywood gripe list, and so now let's move on to some of the more real-world gripes to decide what we can actually do with these. Both of the earlier categories brought up the guy who has woefully inadequate gear. Either they're wearing gear that doesn't do what would be needed in a crash, or they're dressed in gear that's been superseded in terms of modern fashion. Everybody has heard the stupid family reunion horror story about how someone's uncle died when his head hit the pavement and he wasn't wearing a helmet, or they were wearing a half shell and it didn't do the job. In this case, just don't be like them. Wear a full helmet. They save lives, trust me. Also, we're invisible. We pop out of nowhere as far as other motorists are concerned. Ask a regular driver what they think of lane splitters, and you'll hear swearing in languages you didn't even know existed. The irony of this is that studies have shown that responsible lane splitting, not the squiddy kind, is far safer than following the more traditional rules of the road. If you don't believe me, you can take it up with UC Berkeley. It's their problem. Cars have huge blind spots, and soccer mom SUVs and compensatory pickups are notorious for leaving their drivers basically unable to see anything. The best thing that we can do as riders to help ensure that people can see us are things like high-vis, but proper lane placement helps even more. I constantly try to make sure I can see the driver's face in the mirror. I got the idea from a sticker on a semi, and it said, "If you can't see me, I can't see you." Dear guy who came up with that slogan, I owe you a drink. What motorists really hate is the guy doing 60 when everyone else is doing 30. That's actually reckless. And the motorists are right to actually deride us on this one. I'll give them credit where credit's due. We're also notorious for weaving through lanes. I'm guilty, and frankly, I'm not apologizing. There's nothing worse than getting stuck in gridlock with a bunch of drivers who are hell-bent on making sure the left and right lanes are on the same speed. Dear moron drivers, the left lane is for passing. This isn't a motorcycle thing, it's Driver's Ed 101 level material here. Having said this, my reaction of weaving is not necessarily safe and admittedly doesn't reflect well on other riders. Meh. I'm seeing this as part and parcel with lane splitting. I'm trying to stay safe, and cagers who are oblivious to the world around them and unable to follow the normal rules of the road just terrify me. If I passed you on the right, you need to be sitting there asking yourself what you did wrong in your life. Car drivers do this too. We're just better at it because we're smaller and more maneuverable. It's the popping out of nowhere that spooks drivers on this one. They weren't really watching the road anyway, which was the whole problem in the first place, so I'm not really sure we can fix the stupid on this one. Moving right along. Some riders also try the loud pipes thing. Don't. Just don't do it. Ever. The physics show that you're projecting the sound in your wake, not in the front of your bike. This means that you've already passed the danger by the time that the loud pipes would have done anything anyway. Secondly, even other riders don't like this one. We have a saying among veteran riders that goes something like, if loud pipes save lives, imagine what learning to ride can do. All the loud pipes do is annoy your neighbors. They talk bad about you and the motorcycle behind your back, and those negative perceptions hurt motorcycle sales down the road, as more people just see you and them as being annoying. So anyway, that about covers the negative stereotypes that I hear most often. You got any more? Bring them up down in the comments. Solutions to all these problems are about the same. Just don't be that guy. You do you, and embrace the individuality that motorcycling allows, and you'll be fine. There's nobody out there saying we have to dress or look a certain way. Most of our looks for the people who spend their lifetime behind bars actually stem from practicality anyway. So that about does it. Go ahead and leave your thoughts down below. You can support me on Patreon at patreon.com/wheeltrouble. Hit like, subscribe, and share this with your friends. I'll catch you guys in the next episode. Wheel Trouble out.